to Galaxy Television. Now, according to Amnesty International, the Boko Haram insurgency has taken close to 19,000 lives since its inception in 2009. And we have seen a lot of efforts on the part of government to ensuring that this menace becomes a thing of the past in a couple of years. Now, this, as a matter of fact, anchored top priority of the Muhammadu Buhari-led administration. And many Nigerians would agree that we've seen a lot of efforts, a lot of success being achieved by this government. We saw a lot of local governments taken over by government in the early days of this administration. But then we also have this case in our hands, the ambushing of all explorers in Borno, northeast Nigeria. I'm joined now by Yamisaka and Victor Aya. Thank you, gentlemen, for finding time to come.
It's nice to be here this Saturday.
Thank you. Yeah,
Well,
thank you for having me.
I like your suit, Nifemi.
Oh, thank you very much.
Likewise myself.
Oh, thank you. And I like you guys also. You guys are rocking the African way. Now, let's begin with the idea of exploring oil from northeast Nigeria. This was a very highly debatable issue when Mr. President came up with this idea earlier in his administration. People started talking about the billions of dollars that will be required to get oil from the Chad Basin. Would you say that this indeed is the right step in the right direction?
Well, I have my sentiments when it comes to oil in the north, or oil exploration in northern Nigeria. And I believe that's one of the reasons that's caused or probably brought about Boko Haram. And with that, I think it was a nice move to let some people know that we have these natural resources spread evenly across the 6 geopolitical zone. So one region cannot be holding the whole nation to ransom. Yes, the inception of this oil exploration is fantastic, but when automobile companies now are abandoning or trying to close factories for cars that probably run on gasoline, diesel, petrol, you ask yourself, do we need to continue with this venture? I don't think so, because by 2025, I think most automobiles will be running on electricity, or solar, or what have you.
Do you agree with me that this venture is not in tune with current development and perhaps the reality of oil in the future?
Well, I agree with him to some extent, in the sense that we are being told that the processing of oil has never done the nation any good, because of oil we abandon our agricultural gift, which was used in the First Republic to build monuments, fantastic monuments across the 4 regions that existed at that time. At this time, and at this time that the world is now moving away from petroleum products into other invasion, for us to be wasting money prospecting for oil in the northeast is very, very shocking to me, because I was thinking that with the diversification policy of this government, that they will look towards other minerals such as solid mineral, bitumen, and other solid mineral that we have across the country. So wasting the little money we are getting from crude oil, from the sale of crude oil, in prospecting for crude oil in the northeast is very, very shocking to me. I don't think it's a wise decision.
But then we have seen a lot of improvement, a lot of successes that have been achieved by this administration. Prior to the Muhammadu Buhari-led administration, we saw Boko Haram hosting flags in some local governments in northeastern Nigeria. Would you agree that the declaration by the federal government that they had defeated Boko Haram in 2015 was rightly placed?
No, we're probably jumping gun in this platform there. I came up with some independent analysis, and I probably believe it's subject to a lot of factors that Nigerians are not looking at. It goes beyond religion. Some of us felt it was economical. At the point, yeah, it was Atlantis, some said I was audacious, but I was pushing the blame to the doorstep of France, because I saw that as expansion interest by France through Chad and what have you. And at a point in time, well, I was of the opinion with some of my friends that were involved in that brainstorming session, virtually though, that France was intended looking at having a repeat of Bakassi without going through a civil war. The occupied territories now, at a point in time, imagining it was probably, President Goodluck Jonathan's administration was either frontally or probably directly involved. The Chad will be the country that will help us chase out Boko Haram, and will give them time to administer those territories for them to like restore sanity and order. Why? Because some of us felt those regions occupied were rich in uranium and probably certain minerals like diamond. And I probably would put the federal government both to say that if the federal government wants to be sincere enough to Nigerians, they should probably go and conduct a survey on the occupied territories during the, by Boko Haram to see if truly those minerals are there. Now, the first step we got wrong was the declaration by President Muhammadu Buhari on his inauguration. That was very premature. In fact, someone started questioning his credentials as a general. It was on your inauguration day. You've never sat at the head as the command and control structure of the military. You've not seen the scope paper, you've not seen the concept of operation, and you directed the command and control center of the fight against Boko Haram to relocate to Borno with immediate effect. That was fantastic enough in terms of being wrong. And the next thing, the order was not executed until 13 days after. That gave both the insurgents enough room to move away from wherever they were, their stronghold. Now try to strike a link-up communication with the sleeper cells in cities across the federation. In fact, some of us give them routes that they can even come from southern Kaduna, Bauchi to southern Kaduna, get into what's it called, Lokoja. From Lokoja, go through Isolu, get to Kwara, from Kwara, find their way down to Lagos and spread across the country. But these warnings and these independent analysis were discarded as if you can't teach us our job. Now, and I tell people, with such move, we'll deal with insurgency, but we'll never control and win the war on terror.
But then we all saw that moving the command center to Maiduguri really worked.
The military in operational time is so long.
But it did work eventually from the level of success we saw.
It did work because we're able to deal with the insurgency, but we're still confronted with terrorism. Okay, go.
Will you agree with me that, for instance, we saw the acting president asking the service chiefs to return back to Maiduguri? The question many are asking is, when did they leave? The president himself ordered that the military center should be relocated to Borno State. At what point did the service chiefs change their minds?
Well, I don't even think that the success of any war must be based on moving the leadership of the military to a particular place. We should not forget that when Alex Bande was the chief of defense staff, he did say that there were 50 colonels in the army. And today I will still say that there are 50 colonels, because when you are fighting any war and you mix it with politics, you can never win that war. The reason why the war is ongoing and is continuing is because it has been mixed with politics. When this issue of Boko Haram started in 2009, it was not so ferocious, but immediately a certain group of people said that they would make Nigeria ungovernable for Jonathan. And during the election in 2011, suddenly we saw how youth corpers who were ad hoc staff of INEC were hacked down in their prime. What do you think was behind that? It was politics, because they have promised that they were going to make the government ungovernable.
Are you saying the politics is still in play today?
Politics is still in place up till now. It's still on up to today.
Let me hear his opinion.
I probably want to interject at this junction here. You see, we keep mixing this thing up, and it's not good for our nation and for our public coexistence. But I will tell you, I want to tell you this. The man that said we'll make this country ungovernable for Jonathan, I think was a PDP chieftain. It's still in PDP. It was in PDP throughout Jonathan's administration.
What is his name?
I don't want to go online now. I can't recall it often, but
he was former governor of Kaduna State, Lawa Keita.
Yeah, Lawa Keita.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. You see, when Boko Haram first struck, their first casualty, if you can remember, they started from Bauchi, but the first major casualty of Boko Haram was Senator Adinwadu Sheriff.
Let me hold you a minute, Mr. Kerr. Let's take a short break here. Don't forget that you can be a part of the show by sending us text messages. We'll be back with more after this break. Do join us again.
Hold them high on their integrity and sincerity to sustain their victory against Boko Haram's insurgency. Our charge to the militaries for them not to see the unfortunate event as a setback, but a challenge to ensure that every single Nigerian ever held hostage by Boko Haram is rescued without delay. It's like they just come, attack and go. That is what is going on. That does not make the point that Nigerian military is not in control of Sambisa Forest. We are in control.
Welcome back. We saw earlier reports showing a group saying the criticism of the military aftermath the misinformation we got earlier has been blown out of proportion. Now, according to a press conference held in Abuja, a coalition of the civil society groups monitoring counterinsurgency effort in the Northeast says the military refuting earlier claims of having rescued the abducted university lecturers was both sincere and commendable. Now, the group also went ahead to say that it was unnecessary the call for the change of the nation's military chiefs and other sanctions owing to the information mix-up, noting that the military has made significant headway in the counterinsurgency war and needs to be better appreciated. How do you react to that? Let me begin with you, Yemi.
Well, it's a very patronizing statement by the group. I'll tell you that I'll be very blunt and sincere with Nigerians. In the fight against terror, we don't need the military. I'll use some countries as case studies here. If you look at Israel, if Israel wants to combat terrorism, it doesn't rely on the Israeli Air Force or Army, it relies on the Mossad. If it's America, America relies on CIA. If it's Russia, Mother Russia relies on KGB. China relies on its Secret Service and what have you, and like counter-terrorism units. Nigeria is about the only country being confronted with terrorism and doesn't have a CTU. You can have a counter-terrorism. You see branded cars with CTU on it, but that's a detachment. But that was probably a department or probably a unit created by the former administration filled with mobile policemen. People are not drafted from the ends of probably the Air Force, Navy, and what have you. And if you want to combat terrorism, which we're being confronted with as a nation right now, we don't need the brute force by the military. You need humans. Humans is human intelligence. I get it from human beings, from civilians on the street. And that can be done by field officers and what have you. And back to what I was saying earlier. When the president commander-in-chief gave that order, and the other was not executed on 13 days after, the insurgents, what have you, now went mobile. Mobile means went mobile. And they started moving from one point to the other. That's why they were looking for them to contain. And at the point in time, some of us came up with an analysis as well, which I did as well. And I said, the violence of Fulani headsmen probably should be looked at because they're probably people radicalized by the fleeing or probably the Boko Haram trying to create an active cell in the cities. That was disregarded as well. That's why we're having this full-blown national insecurity that we're facing as a nation. Yes, we deal with insurgency. Fantastic if you claim that sovereignty is still intact. But public safety is being shredded every day.
Okay, so the group is actually addressing the misinformation, a situation where the Nigerian army had earlier said that all those who were abducted have been released. But we saw a different scenario when Boko Haram released a video of 3 staff of the University of Maiduguri. Should the military be hung for that? Some would say that the kind of success they have achieved in time past should be enough for Nigerians to forgive them this time.
If you have achieved success in a particular segment of life, do you tell lies to the citizen simply because you have achieved certain successes somewhere?
But they tendered an unreserved apology to the public.
The answer is no, because it has always been like that. Each time they keep on telling one thing and the other, you know, and it's not good for the image of the Nigeria army. you must come out to tell the truth. And even in 2015, when this government came in place, the Minister of Information said that the federal government has degraded Boko Haram. And yet, the Boko Haram insurgents are still going over the places, killing people. We see Fulani herdsmen still killing people. So, it's all lies, and propaganda does not help in any society. When people are telling lies, people need to know the truth. When you tell the people the truth, then they will be happy with you, no matter how your performance is in office. If you are doing well or not, because you are telling them the truth, they will be happy with you. But we are not being told the truth.
But now
it's not good for us.
We have a statement released by the Army spokesperson, Brigadier General Sonny Usman, who described the claim as most regrettable, saying the action was not deliberate. It attributed the error to its effort at ensuring timely dissemination of information on activities of troops in all theater of operations.
I don't know why, and I keep saying this, is set out on the wrong foot, and this administration is building its activities on the same, what can I say, structure laid by the past administration. They are so media frenzy and media crazy. When it comes to fight against terror or what have you, you don't need to romance the media. They don't need to. You don't have to spoon feed them with every step you take. It's in a bit to rush to the media and to be appraised by the populace or public that they're doing a fantastic job. That you see you're having this kind of missteps. You don't need to talk. Now the Chief of Army Staff, in his wisdom, came out publicly and issued an ultimatum to the theater commander in Maiduguri that he wants them to produce or get a shekau within 40 days. Nobody knew when United Navy SEAL were getting into Pakistan to neutralize or eliminate Osama bin Laden. You don't talk. I don't understand. Maybe there's this thing about this verbal dysentery that you just have to talk and talk and talk. When it comes to national security, the thing there is you're bound by the National Security Act. You don't talk. I'm a natural. I've never gone to either the training school of DSS in Bauchi or Ikoyi. I've not been to NDA in Kaduna. But these are things that is commonsensical. You don't talk.
Let's take this message. This viewer says, technically defeated or not, without finding the source of their funding, referring to Boko Haram, it's just like chasing shadows. You can't cast out demons with a demon. Get Shekau alive or dead by Buratai is not to be on the air. Okay, that's Oliza from Abia State. It is referring to the 40 days ultimatum given to members of the Nigerian army to get Shekau dead or alive. At least for now, we can confirm that Shekau is not dead. Yeah. But then, how do you react to the 40-day ultimatum? Which
Shekau now? Because how do you tell me that the person you put forward is a Shekau? Do we have what is called a passport? A passport is, in the intelligence community, is what, when you have a passport, when you have the biodata of the person, his DNA, his denture, his dentition, his facial marks, or what have you, his genotype. Do we have that? So I can just tell me, bringing up one person and tell me it's a Shekau.
But you agree that that's not the fault of the Nigerian military. They are not the one who are responsible for the nation not having a complete database of its citizens.
It's right.
That is truth. But even above that, you can never kill Shekau. Why did I say so? I posted on my Facebook wall the other time when they said that Shekau had been killed. I said you can never kill Shekau because this name is a generic name. Even though if you kill the leader now, another person will take up the name. Then how do you kill him? It's a generic name. Any person that is leading Boko Haram automatically becomes Shekau. So there is no way they can kill him. And it's not killing him that is the issue. If you deal seriously with the group, even though if you don't kill Shekau, the group will feel so hard. But as long as they are seen on ground, they are foot soldiers. You don't need to cap the leader of a group before you can disseminate the group. You have to deal with the group. If you deal with the group, the leader will run. But that is how it is.
But there is the ideology that if you strike the shepherd,
I was going to say that. Because if you look at
without the foot soldier, the shepherd cannot stand.
But
that is the truth. Without the foot soldier, the shepherd cannot stand. If we are fighting a war and you have captured it is the structure around the leader that makes it to be strong. Without the structure around the leader, everybody is weakly.
No,
it is the structure around the leader that makes him to be strong. There's no strong leader anywhere.
No,
a president of a nation is strong because of the people around him.
Victor,
without those people around him, it can never be.
Victor, when it comes to some warfare, especially when it comes to terrorism, it's believed that it's a normal norm that once you strike the head, the command structure, the whole institution goes into disarray, and with that you can now you can mop up.
Another leader will come up.
No, when you cut off the head, it's easier for you to do a mop-up exercise because some people will want to renegotiate or probably drop arms and flee. But back to this issue of Boko Haram. Another thing we should deal with is this. When this administration came in, before this administration came in, some of us were shouting that yes, the military has been compromised and what have you. Because the insurgents and what have you could not be that brazen if they don't have local collaborators or internal collaborators within the command structure of the military. And I expected a serious-minded government should have conducted a polygraph on the commands on the hierarchy of the defense headquarters.
To know who is lying or not.
To know who is lying or not.
Let's take this message very quickly. Jimo Mumin sent this in from Ibadan. In my submission, I think this is the right time for the federal government to seek for foreign help from super powerful countries like the US and Great Britain. The military should change the style. I also want to tell the military to keep their plan more secret. Thank you, Jimo, for your contribution. Earlier, we saw an embargo placed on Nigeria by the United States, but recently it appears that embargo has been lifted. The US is now selling equipment. But how do we, when we keep talking about getting help from outside, we seem to have gotten a lot of international attention, especially at the wake of the abduction of the Chibok girls.
Yeah,
we had the whole world right behind us.
I was going to come to that.
How come that did not work?
You see, when the girls were abducted, and I told people, I said 3, 4, 5 days after the abduction, we shouldn't be looking for the girls. We should be looking for bodies. But fantastic as some of these girls released, but I warned against it. Why? Because these girls have been in captivity for so long. They would have naturally adopted or probably picked up Stockholm syndrome. And you will be careful. We should be careful the way we're taking these girls back, because we might end up taking back insurgents or agents back into our midst. Because they spent so long in the midst of these guys. For these ladies to be alive, that means the captors have shown them a bit of love, care. It's natural, it's psychological, it's human. I don't know, I've watched this series, an American series, when a US soldier probably was kept by a terrorist organization and was introduced back into the American society, and he was working for the terrorist organization. It's a normal thing. But you keep asking that they should call them the funds and what have you. And you ask yourself a question. It was rumoured that the federal government paid ransom for these girls. That means you're giving these guys money to go get themselves more equipped.
Is it money or an exchange of personnel? But that's not even what we're discussing here. Have we also come to understand the dynamics of terrorism globally? That this is not the conventional warfare. It's a guerrilla attack. It's not as if you have some Boko Haram people in uniform trying to shoot at you. These are people who are ready to die for what they believe. Have we come to the understanding as a society that it happens almost everywhere in the world? Just recently, UK has just been attacked by terrorists. Should we keep putting the blame on government or joining hands to fight this together?
Well, it didn't start with this government. In the last government, instead of all Nigerians coming together because of politics, they took side with the insurgents. Because why did I say so? When the girls were abducted, then instead of protesting against the Boko Haram insurgents, they bring back our girls. We're protesting against the federal government. It's never done anywhere. When the Al-Qaeda struck in America, did you see America carry a placard protesting against the American government that why did they allow Al-Qaeda to strike? They protested against the terrorists, but in the case of Nigeria, it was the government that they protested against, that the government must bring the girls now, and they named Jonathan. Jonathan was a kindergarten president, he was weakly, he was clueless. Today, the narrative have changed. When these boys were kidnapped at Ekpe, did you see any bring back our girls saying that government go and bring the boys now? So I have told you that as long as we are bedeviled with politics, it will be very difficult, because There's element of politics in everything. There's element of religion in everything in Nigeria. Nigerians are divided. We are not united.
I probably need to
just a minute, Yemi. Let's take a couple of messages. Chima sent this in from Equatorial Guinea, saying Nigerian military is not sincere. How many Shekau do we have? The Boko Haram should go, the military should be more digital in their operations. Thank you very much for your contribution. Boko Haram are human beings living around you and I, unidentified because they have no marks on them. In the area of military, I say they are trying much more now than before. We have records of Boko Haram activities during Jonathan's tenure and how it has been brought down in the current administration. Now, since we cannot identify them, the fight becomes technical. Then the communities have to join hands with government to do the fight. That's an anonymous viewer. Thank you for your contribution. Ichi writes from Oka, the Nigerian military is filled with a lot of talk. No country fights insurgency with clueless formation. Nigeria is way beyond this media propaganda and politics with human lives. Thank you, Ichi, for your contribution. Let's take one more message. My name is Peter from Kaduna. Buhari's government is up to something with the diversion of citizens' attention. The president said agriculture should be ultimate. Now, the oil-producing states want to back out of Nigeria. They're now searching for oil in the north. The president has an agenda for the north. And he goes on and on like that. I think we talked about that earlier, about how important it is also to get more oil if we can. But let's begin to look at how effective this corporate or cooperation with civilians, have worked. Because at the wake of all of this, we saw a lot of success with the civilian JTF. We saw a lot of success achieved by Nigerians themselves also telling security operatives information that they require. Would you say that we are all together really in this fight as it is?
I probably want to start from where it started. And when some people were angry with the last administration during the Chibok girls' adoption because of a lot of things. It was alleged that the American government, when they sent Waterview personnel down here, after it was said that there was a coverage and they had intel on where the girls were kept in transit. And on a recon, they now found out, because the plan was they were going to storm the place, gas the place, and rescue the girls and bring them back to safety. And it was alleged as well that when they went for a recon, they now saw the insurgents wearing gas masks. That was why some countries pulled out of that cooperation and collaboration. And the last administration, especially the service chiefs, I will say this, and I will say this without any form of regret. Former President Goodluck Jonathan was a commander-in-chief that was clueless about his powers as a commander-in-chief and was held hostage by his service chiefs. Because if he knew his powers as a commander-in-chief, the insurgents would have been dealt with. And those guys were milking him. And that is why a Dasuki would tell a Jonathan that he bought a Hind Mi-35 helicopter for a refurbished one for $80 million. When in the actual sense, the real one it goes between $25 to $35 million. It shows you the knowledge gap of the administration. That was why Boko Haram insurgency flourished during the administration. Now to this administration, the only thing they would bother about is the showmanship by Gadisio, like years were in charge. We've gone beyond this stage. And I keep telling people, you see, when it comes to fight against terror, the agency that should be in the forefront should be the DSS. But the DSS we have right now is busy, is just good at arresting judges. So I'm sorry for my choice of words. Now, there was an attempted jailbreak in Abuja, so close to when they said they wanted to rescue some Boko Haram strong kingpins there. Till we speak, nobody has been sacked for that. It tells you that in all agencies, they have collaborators, they have infiltrators in there. Until we fish these people out, we're going nowhere. We're just wasting our time. Wasting human lives.
A viewer sent this in and he said, what we need now is not just capturing, but let's get sponsors of Boko Haram. That message is from Jos. Boko Haram came as a result of northern elite. They want Sharia law and make governance difficult for Goodluck Jonathan. That's Usitek from Jos. But let's also begin to look at how important it is for us to pay more attention to internally displaced persons. We've had a lot of drama played out, rice diverted, a lot of millions being used to cut grass. Would you say that we're doing enough in taking care of victims of this insurgency such that we don't even feed or feed the insurgency back with the people we're not taking good care of?
Food soldiers.
We are not we are not doing enough. But how we even count the internally displaced person in the northeast to be lucky?
How do you mean?
When Odi was bombed by Obasanjo, nobody even thought of the citizens there. Nobody even gave a pure water, a sachet of pure water to them. Nobody even kept them somewhere. They were just seen as a criminal who were terrorizing Nigeria. So I will count this one to be lucky. Because today, they have a place for them where they are laying their heads. The people of Odi and Baramoto, nobody till today as we speak, nobody has asked where they are living. So this is the problem of this country. When people are not united, all manner of things happen. So I will say that they are lucky because at least as they are diverting some of their food, some are getting to them. How about those people who are not even getting anything? How about those people who were not even provided a roof over their heads? That is the problem of this country. So sometimes when we speak the truth, people say, why are you talking? But we must say the truth.
Let's take this message from Kaduna. Thomas sent this in from Kaduna. Insurgency is in three phases: sponsors, executors, and probably the sympathizers. We're fighting only the executioners. Please, if we don't find the sponsors, we may be far from winning the war. How do we get the sponsors?
Well, that is...
we've been talking about sponsors for a long time now.
That is the job of intelligence agents.
Can I comment?
They are the one that will do. Okay,
You see, another mistake this administration is making, a very grave one, which is going to disrupt or probably set back the war on terror, is the so-called de-radicalization of some Boko Haram repentant Boko Haram insurgents, and I found that very distasteful and annoying, because they tell me they didn't stand down or probably repent because it's on free will. They were being confronted with death, and they felt like they want to take a chance, a shot at staying alive again, and that's why they seem to be repentant. And the only person that has such power of clemency is either the executive, which has to be either the president or probably the governor, not the theater commander, not the chief of army staff. And if you're not careful, you're just bringing back insurgents into the society to keep on with the acts of terror. And we want to get these sponsors is very easy, because you have to bring all analysis on board. You look at the usual suspects and the unusual suspects. And you keep that way. There you can narrow down the true suspects and now go after the funding. Another thing we should look at is I tell people, in the world of espionage and counter-espionage, you don't arrest. You don't make arrest. You don't kill. You neutralize.
How do you mean?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
All right, so Abdul sent this in from Katsina, and he's saying that the APC government ran on propaganda and lies. According to him, the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, crushed Boko Haram 6 weeks before election. How did elections take place in the Northeast? All what was needed was a mop-up operation and intensive surveillance and help from world powers. But the president told the world that Boko Haram was defeated. They didn't say was, they said degraded. They are technically defeated or degraded, right? Yeah. Boko Haram. But then, have we also come to, because oftentimes when we discuss Boko Haram, we've not been able to differentiate, take politics, ethnicity, religion out of it. Could this be one of our biggest problems in defeating this menace?
Every problem in Nigeria can be traced to religion, politics, ethnicity. These three items are the things that are plaguing this country. And it will be very difficult for us to do without them, because they started immediately, even before election, before we gained independence. You found the way the regions were created. They were created along a tribal settlement, religious settlement, and politics. The gladiators at that time, Awolowo, Ahmadu Bello, Zik, they all belong to different religions. They belong to different ethnicity. And the regions were created alongside with them. Even the Midwestern region that was created in 1963 followed the same process. So, and those things have been entrenched. Even the issue of money politics have even worsened the whole thing, because there's so much money in politics today. It's no longer for service to humanity. So everybody does whatever he wants to get into politics. And again, we don't have a pan-Nigeria agenda. There's nothing like that. Anyone who is telling you that we are united is just deceiving himself. Nigeria is about what can I get from the national cake.
Talking about pan-Nigeria agenda,
yes.
Yeah, Mr. Saka, the good news is that even though Arewa youths insist on the Kaduna Declaration, they seem to have given us a peaceful option to it. They're talking about a million march come October the 1st. Would you say this has finally doused the tension?
Well, I would say we have a command structure in place that's really, if I can use this word, tribal sentiment or tribalistic, it's sentimental to tribalism, if I can say that. Because I don't see why the high GP has not arrested any of these guys, and we've had issues in the past that no arrest has been made. So I probably will not want to talk about that, because it's as if we are just deceiving ourselves.
Is there a peaceful way to chase Nigerians of Igbo extraction from the north? Because that's what Arewa youth is saying.
There's no peaceful way to do that. And I'm really disturbed, because even now the Kanu has not committed any offense.
How do you mean?
I know you will ask me why. Early this year, the president of this country supported Sarajevo. That's Sawari Arabic Democratic Republic that can be struggling to emancipate themselves from the rulership of Morocco.
Morocco, that's right.
The same thing happened to Palestine.
No, but Sahrawi Republic has been recognized by the African Union.
No, what I'm saying, the president of this country recognizes and supports them.
That's what I'm saying.
They have the right for self-determination.
That's what I'm saying.
How come that in Nigeria, where he lives, where he's the president, he cannot allow certain people who say they want to be on their own to go on their own? There is no offense about saying that I want to be on my own. I want to control my affairs. Today we have people who are asking for local government area of their own. We have people asking for state of their own. During the 2014 national conference, we saw about 20 ethnic nationality demanding for additional states.
Victor,
how do they
how
does that contradict the corporate existence?
Won't you agree? Won't you agree that it was really not much about what Nnamdi Kanu was asking for? It was how he was asking for it. I saw Nnamdi Kanu on radio inciting war.
Yeah,
inciting war. I have evidence to show you. Inciting.
No.
You don't have to carry arms to incite war.
Let me tell you something, Victor.
You don't have to carry arms to.
It's treasonable. That's
but then,
treason.
Let's move this conversation forward very quickly because of our time. Nnamdi Kanu has now absolutely at bail conditions. I mean, the court told him that he should have more than 10 people. We've seen him with hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, I think his next time in court, he should probably be packing his bags to go back to jail. And I will say this, and I will indict the present administration. And I don't know if there's a count against me in the nearest future, but I'll be very blunt and truthful. If I'm the commander-in-chief, I'll probably I'm part of the intelligence committee of Mr. President. Nnamdi Kanu will not set his foot on the soil of this land.
All right, let's wrap this up because of time. How do we ensure that peace reigns come October 1st? For instance, the First Council of Nnamdi Kanu came out to say that the federal government isn't doing a lot in reaction to the Kaduna Declaration. But we've seen the acting president meeting with a lot of stakeholders, doing a lot of consultation. What more do you expect the federal government to do at this time?
Well, in closing, because the time is almost spent, I will say that a referendum should be conducted. There is no law that bar people from self-determination. And the disintegration of a country is not a death warrant. We have seen nations that are broken up. There was a country called Senegambia that consisted of Gambia and Senegal. They came together in 1981. By 1989, they felt they can no longer coexist. They broke up. Have they died? Have they died?
So what you're asking the federal government to do is to conduct a referendum. What would you have the federal government do now to ensure peace as a nation?
You know where I stand. Call the bluff of Nnamdi Kanu. The referendum, given the referendum, its own flight to fail. I can tell you that. Then secondly, but back to the other issue, if we want to really win this war on terror, the federal government needs to set up, institutionalize, or probably set up a CTU. And the CTU should probably use all media outlets to inform Nigerians, because we don't even know the steps to take after any terror attack. And you see, it's very simple. If Bauchi, or let me say, if Kaduna is being attacked right now by Boko Haram or any terrorist organization, the right thinking, or the right step for any right thinking or sensible government should probably set up to the SECA level, the alert level in Kano, in Bauchi, in Kogi and Abuja.
And we have seen the Nigerian military.
It's not, when you see saying the military, it is
repositioning themselves right now.
You see, when you say the military, we are doing a great disservice to this nation. We don't need the military to combat terror.
It's all right.
We're in a state of war.
Let's take this message from Dr. Salawo Abraham from Ibadan. Doctor says Nigerian military should apply secrecy in the onslaught against Boko Haram. The civilian propagandists should be kept off. The civilians are playing politics with it because of the opposition parties. Thank you very much for your contribution. We have quite a number of messages we couldn't take on the show today. We'll be back next week, God willing.